Hey everyone, I am bringing you guys some bonus draft content this week in addition to the usual Shadows over Innistrad draft. I had been doing this most of the year, but I missed the last 3 weeks of flashback drafts or so because I'm actually going out of town in a couple of weeks and I won't be able to produce content as easily for about 6 weeks. So I had to record a bunch of content ahead of time. I didn't have time for these, but I have time for this one and I'll be able to do next ones as well before I go out of town. And interesting. Is Helltooth Hollow worth something? I mean, it probably should take Scion of Una here, but let's see. No, it's not worth anything, even foil. But this format is all about tribes and tribal synergy, more or less. And getting a lord like this is a good reason to try to make myself go into a tribe. If there's not like a high quality removal spell in here, I might think about taking like an Oblivion Ring or a Shriekmaw over this, but we don't have any of that here. So I think we take the card early that we know. This is a weird format in that you can like sort of take a powerful card like this, and then sort of force the deck in a way, because that's what you have to do basically in this format, because it's all about the tribes. And fairies are blue-black, so what would we get back from this pack? Nothing that great. So, I mean, there's a Kithkin Lord too, but this is clearly way better. It has Flash, so you can basically negate an opponent's removal spell by flashing it into play because your fairies get Shroud. So it's usually at least going to be a 1-for-1, and it's usually going to be a 2-for-1 because they're going to want to kill it. So we take our Scion here. I would love to get like a Shriekmaw in this pack because those are the colors we'll be in, but okay. Well, there's a Marrow Harbinger. Gives you not fairies, but merfolk. We may end up having merfolk in our deck as well. Aether Snipe is just a good card in general, I think. That's probably what we take here. It's not a fairy, but these evoke elementals are all pretty good, and Aether Snipe is it's not Shriekmaw. It's not quite Shriekmaw, but it's pretty good. I'm looking into whether I want any of these other cards in other colors, and I don't think I do. I could take like a Wanderer's Twig is good for splashing, but it's not like fairies are being cut or something. This pack just didn't have any, weirdly. So we'll take Aether Snipe here. Okay, so here's a crappy fairy, which we don't really want. We're still not seeing fairies. So where's some changelings? Don't see any of those either. So yeah, this one, I mean, if I had like 2 Scions of Una, I guess this becomes playable, but it's just not that good. It comes back to your hand sometimes, but it's just a very weak card in general. So maybe we're not going to end up in fairies, but I mean, it could be someone else opened up a big fairy bomb or something, but I wish there was a changeling in here. There's not one of those either. Changelings have all creature types. So what's the most powerful card that's in this pack? It's probably one of these elves. Hurly-Burly is a funny card. I mean, these Plover Knights aren't bad either. Merfolk is the blue-white archetype. I'm just going to take the Ring Skipper. I doubt I play it, but at least it's a fairy. At least it's that. So this is a good fairy payoff, especially if we pick up some of the other cards. A lot of fairies have abilities that say stuff like, if you play a spell during your opponent's turn, you get to do this. Here's a good elf card, a good elemental card, another decent elf card. Fairy Trickery is okay, but the upside it gives you for being an actual fairy card is actually not that high. There's a solid elf. But I think I'm going to take this fairy. It's tribal. Tribal means that the cards get all the same benefits they would otherwise. Of course, that doesn't matter for Scion of Una, but that's what it does. Another Ring Skipper. So, man, I think fairies may be getting completely destroyed. So we may have to move off of our plan into something else. I mean, we just keep seeing the bad fairies. I'm thinking about, Moonglove Winnower will be playable in our deck. I was hoping we could get some fairies. So I think I take the Winnower. I mean, if we're blue-black, we can still play it. Here's a solid fairy. Nothing exciting. There's some good merfolk around still. Neck Snap isn't a bad card. But I think we just take the solid fairy here. I mean, we have one of the biggest fairy payoffs you can get, and it's a rare one, so hopefully we can see some of the not rare ones. But I feel okay with, this is an elf, but it fits into our deck. It trades with anything. It's, not a bad card. Ring Skipper is probably our worst card. Pepper Smoke can kill a lot of stuff in this format, and it's almost always like if we really get there on our fairy deck, it'll almost always be a cantrip too. So if you like block with a creature and then use Pepper Smoke to finish the creature off, you're not quite 2-for-1ing yourself because you get to replace your Pepper Smoke. Ooh, jeez. That's a pretty cool card. Whirlpool Whelm is solid. That might just be what I take, but I don't know. That's a decent Merfolk payoff. I mean, it's hard to get in there with it. It's not like it's unblockable or anything. That's why it's still around this late. This is a good Elemental payoff. It's better in the Elemental deck than I think it is in the Goblin deck, which weirdly the Goblin deck in this format isn't the most aggressive. I think I'm going to take Whirlpool Whelm, take the bounce spell here. Scattering Stroke. Yeah, it kind of looks like some other people are all up in our fairies, man. Which is sad because we opened a fairy rare, so. Do we just want Scattering Stroke? I mean, there's a good chance we pick up payoffs. There's a good chance we pick up payoffs for casting spells during our opponent's turn, so I guess I will. You take another counter magic here. Houndstooth Hollow actually will happen sometimes in Limited, but I guess I'll take another counter spell here in Broken Ambitions, even though I don't love it. Yeah, that doesn't seem impactful enough. Neither does Ink Fathom Divers, really, but I'll take it. Yeah, I'm not loving this draft. I think black is not open at all. Fairies don't seem open at all, so we may have to completely pivot in this next pack. And if we can salvage some of our picks so far, I'll feel pretty good. I'm just going to take the powerful card here. I mean, it's not that powerful, but it's the most powerful of those. So I'm not sure what we're doing. I was trying to force fairies, but it just didn't work out. We had some early signs that it wasn't going to work out, but I kept forcing it. I mean, I think we take a Nightshade Stinger. It's best when you have, fairy synergies, and so far we do have Scion of Una, which makes it a lot better, but it's a pretty bad card usually. So we could move into any number of decks. I'll take Triclopean Sight. It's an aura that actually does some stuff. Sure. I mean, it's not great, but it does untap. It's a combat trick, basically. Okay. Well, do we want to move into elves? We saw some decent elf stuff around late. Man, we're not seeing like any of the Oblivion Rings or Shriek Maws in this world. But we did see some decent elf stuff around late. I feel like if we move into elves now, we might have a shot. More of a shot than we're going to have otherwise. We already have one elf, but the rest of our deck is basically going to go away unless we splash for some of it. But honestly, most of it we don't really want to splash for. Maybe Whirlpool Whelm or something. Like, where are the fairies? Is this just like a fairyless? Like, even the packs we've opened where we've seen everything. This is pretty good if you can set up the Merfolk deck just right. But I think I'm going to take the Packmaster. I mean, we do have more blue cards, it's worth noting, so maybe I should think about that. But I'm going to take the Packmaster here. Well, here's a solid fairy. Certainly not an amazing one. I think we take Eyeblight's Ending here. It's a great removal spell. Also happens to be an elf, so that's nice. So yeah, we'll take that. Still, though, like, fairies do seem to be completely taken away. Harpoon Sniper's pretty nice, but we're moving into elves, I think. Nameless Inversion's really strong. I mean, I guess we still haven't really moved into elves because we're still picking up, like, they're good cards in any deck, what we're picking up right now. So we'll just take the strong removal here. Well, here's a good fairy. Well, will fairies work? I don't know. But I think we play this either way. It's a 4 mana for, it's amazing the things I mean, it's not quite, Pia and Karan Nalaar. It's not quite that good. but it's not that far off, and it's a pretty good card, and it's uncommon. It's kind of nuts. So yeah, I think I take this fairy. Um, what now? Tar Pitcher's solid little card. Do we just take a Merfolk that's decent? Hornet Harasser's not bad. If you can sometimes set up so he can easily 2-for-1 stuff. He can also end up hurting you on certain board states though, so you don't always want to be playing him. Guiltleaf Seer, I mean, I think we probably take either the Harnesser. I think we take the Harnesser probably. This is an elf, but I think the Harasser rather. Harasser is a little better, I think. So maybe we are a fairy deck. I don't know. We still don't have that many fairies though. That's the weird thing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We did pick up a good one here. We have 5 fairies, so you're more like a 3-drop. Ooh, Guile. That's pretty fun. Hard to block, big creature, and we actually have counter spells, so I think that seems like a good time. Yeah, we're going to take Guile. Yep. If we counter stuff, we get to play the cards we counter, and so that gives us more incentive to be playing our counter magic. But yeah, the lack of fairies is not ideal. Ooh, there we go. There's a good fairy payoff to see late. Here's some really good elemental creatures though, man. Could have been in an elemental deck. I mean, cards. Glare Wheeler's really good. Think about Goblin Heel Cutter and stuff like that we have these days, and it's like way better. So there's 2 good elves left here. This is a better one though. We need to pick up some more cards with flash for it to be really good. But we already have several cards with several instants. And it's already good with those. We have so many 4-drops right now, though. Okay, Thieving Sprite is fine. I don't love it, but it is an elf, and a fairy, and we're kind of desperate for them. Fairy Trickery is worth thinking about because it can counter stuff for Guile, but we really need to get some freaking fairies rather into our deck. Yeah, the Elemental deck seems open. That Menace, we've seen 2 of that Menace Lord. I guess I'll stick you over there. This is a changeling. It doesn't seem like much, but it does count as a fairy. How many creatures with enter the battlefield abilities do we have? We have Aether Snipe. This sort of has an enter the battlefield ability. Marsh Flitter. Yeah, I guess we take Familiar's Ruse too. Build our Guile deck here. We could just take the 2-drop Marrow or Amoeboid Changeling, but Familiar's Ruse seems more fun. Okay, well here's a kind of bad removal spell. That might just be what we take here. Yeah, that's a bad card. So we could also... Oh, no, we're not green anymore. What am I talking about? We'll take the bad removal. And now I think we'll take a bad fairy. Hope to God we don't have to play more than one of those, and hopefully 0. 0 would be the ideal number. I mean, I guess against the Kithkin deck, this is a good sideboard card. Guile has some weird art. It's like a worm, bird, dragon thing. So the rogue subtype doesn't really matter in this set. I think it's Morningtide's the next one, right? In Morningtide, well, I don't know that we want to play 2 of those. In Morningtide, oh sure. Don't love it at all, but if we pick up some more fairy synergies, we might want it. In Morningtide, the classes are actually what matters more than the creature types. Oh man, should have been elves. We opened 2 amazing rare elves. And we continue to completely whiff on opening fairies in our packs. Like there's not even a changeling in this pack in any colors. Lash Out's a really good card, obviously. Jesus, pack's bad for us. We kind of need 2-drops. who do something. So I think I'm just going to take a Deep Tread Marrow. First picking that's bad. I mean, Glare Wielder, Immaculate Magistrate, Gold Meadow Harrier, and Lash Out are all pretty good cards. And I guess we could splash potentially for like Lash Out, but I'm just going to take the 2-drop. Ooh, Drowner of Secrets, another one of those. So maybe we should have been that. Okay, Spell Stutter Sprite and Pestermite are together here. Which do I want more? They're both really good. Spell Stutter Sprite. I mean, how many fairies do we have right now? I'm hoping I don't have to play. Maybe I'll just play one of those. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're not a fairy. 7. So we don't have a ton. So maybe we shouldn't just go for the raw fairy synergy and should just go for the stronger card. So I think I take Pestermite here. Being able to tap stuff down the way it does when it comes into play and everything is strong. It also synergizes well with Dream Spoiler Witches. Ooh, there's a good Kithkin. Oh, wow. We were left with the same decision, which is good. Our fairy deck's trying to come together here for us at the last minute. I think I take another Pestermite over Spell Stutter Sprite. I mean, Spell Stutter Sprite's good, but there's just going to be situations where it doesn't do much other than be a 1-1 with Flash. So I'd rather have a 2-1 with Flash. Okay. Not a whole lot for us here. Take another Kithkin sideboard card. Is Ancient Amphitheater worth anything? I don't think it is, but... Nope. Not online anyway. Yeah. Not the most exciting cards here for us. Well, there's a Clash payoff card. That's kind of cool. Be fun to draft around that one of these days. I mean, I guess we could try to splash for this if we see this stuff. It is better with fairies. It's got fairy synergy, so I guess that's what I'll take because we weren't seeing much else in that pack. Okay, now we can take a Spell Stutter Sprite and feel pretty good about it, I think. Yep. Probably not playing that. Probably not playing Ring Skipper. So we started with a Scion of Una. And now we've picked up, we have a couple, this is basically a fairy payoff because so many of them have Flash. Yeah, in fact, most of our fairies have Flash, which is good. This is also a fairy, I guess. Okay, now I guess we can take Fairy Trickery. I mean, we do have Guile, so I don't know if it's right to be playing as many counterspells as we have, even one that counts as a fairy, but I'm going to take it. I think it might be better than Scattering Stroke. It probably is most of the time. Broken Ambitions, yeah, I think Broken Ambitions is better just because it scales the way Clash of Wills does, you know, for a more recent comparison. So I think I'd probably cut that for it. Glimmerdust Snap isn't terrible removal. It's not good in removal either. Don't really like that Boggart. There's a Skeletal Changeling, and I think I'll take that. It's a 2-drop, which you could use. It counts as a fairy, etc. We haven't ended up with any other major fairy payoffs other than Una, or Scion of Una, and a few other things, but another Clash payoff. We can return our Nameless Inversion over and over again with that, I guess. So, I mean, I don't think that's what we want to be doing, but, well, goblins who like fairies. So, fairy-wise, we can probably end up cutting one of these bad cards, too, because I think we have plenty of fairies now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, we have 9. That's a decent number. Okay, well, a dude who can regenerate forever isn't the worst thing. Take a trick away from somebody. Yeah, our colors just weren't open. Like, we got kind of lucky in that last pack to finally pick up some fairies, but our deck was terrible up until that point. So, we got the Pestermites and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a bad card. I mean, these are both bad cards. At least this one's in our colors, I guess. But I'd rather play Nightshade Stinger than Ring Skipper. It's just more aggressive. I think it'll be more effective most of the time. We didn't pick up any lands to help us splash, which could have been nice, but that's okay. We're just going to try to win the game with Guile and our 2 counter spells. Oh, actually, oh man, when I was looking at spell stutter sprites, I should have thought about Guile. Maybe we should add 2 spell stutter sprites and 1 Pestermite, but it might still be right to do what we did. Yeah, we didn't end up with a ton of removal, but we have an Eye Blight's Ending, a Nameless Inversion, Pepper Smoke, so I like that. I do like Hornet Harasser enough just because he can be such an easy 2-for-1 on a lot of board states against... there's lots of small creatures in this format, so I think this is our deck. Okay, then. Yeah, 10-7's probably right. We have 1 double black. And we want to be able to cast Guile, so... Right, I think this is our deck. We'll see how it goes. It definitely came together there at the end after being sort of a train wreck early on. But I don't know if we ended up with enough. Although, if we can play Scion of Una and a bunch of fairies every game, I think we're in pretty good shape. Alright, so we will go ahead... Oh, I just thought about the fact that there's a small amount of synergy between Marsh Flitter and Hornet Harasser. That's pretty nice. But anyway, I'll go ahead and... It's a single elimination, so... Hopefully we can at least win our first match. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment, and if you want to make sure you see lots more draft videos from me, click the subscribe button as well if you're not already a subscriber.